Um, so fluorite popped in and was like very front and center, and I'm like, wow, okay. I had I had all this. I had plumbers in my house all day Friday on top of everything else, and in my bathroom, I always keep these 2 pieces of fluorite. I have this big green piece of fluorite, and then I have this, like, purple piece of fluorite, and sometimes these will be in my bath water. Um, but fluorite is too important of a stone for us not to bring up and talk about and work with, and right now, it's a very, very important good stone for what is going on right now and the chaos and madness of everything that's happening. Um, because it will help us. It's good for a south node eclipse because it helps us release things. It helps us release and energetically clear the body and let go of crap that we don't need. So let me just share my screen here. Oh, so fluorite it's in the Chinese materia medica as fushet. I'm not a good Chinese pronouncer, but it's used as both a stone and an herb, and we'll talk about that a little bit. And it comes in all these colors. It can be like banded, like purple and green bands. You can get you can actually, it comes in all 5 colors of the 5 elements, which is pretty cool. So fluorite by some people, let me move our pictures over, is considered should be in the top 10 stones for healers, for people, whether you're doing healing work on yourself or doing healing work on your animals or for anybody else. And it's a master of clearing latent energy out of really deep levels in the body. And we're going to talk about latent energy. But if we talk about healing, it's just a really important concept to understand. So it clears at the level of the bones, the endocrine system, the glands, the DNA, all of this DNA stuff, the jing, the brain, the kidneys, and it will actually release and pull energies that we have put into latency. So it's the stone to clean all the skeletons out of the closet. Um, and it clears, but it also has this evaporative quality, like almost like turning it into mist and just letting it evaporate away and dematerializing it. And when you look at it too, it just has this kind of like clear ethereal quality to it, kind of mist-like. So you can think of it as using fluorite to do an energetic detox, which we probably need at multiple times during the day, throughout the day. So the characteristics of fluorite, it comes as calcium fluorite, so it bonds to calcium. So being a stone to begin with, it resides deep down in the earth, and so it resonates with what's deep down inside our body. Like the stones of our body or the bones and the genes and all those Jing essence, our immune systems, our kidneys, our adrenal glands. And if you look at it, these are all the things that are really literally under attack right now because it's at the core and root of the body. It's under attack in our bodies and under attack in our animal bodies. I just put out a Substack Live last week on these. I have not wanted to broach the subject, but the subject has to be broached, and the fact that they're releasing RNA self-replicating vaccines to animals. Now, what's really amazing is the RNA self-replicating vaccine started out as a canine influenza vaccine, which I would never recommend anyways, and then a feline leukemia vaccine, which I would never recommend anyways. And now they came out with a rabies 3-year. Now, the rabies 3-year RNA self-replicating, the only two places that it has been cleared and is being used is Canada and the state of California. So I'm just gonna drop that right here. Um, so and just even with, the Librella issues and all this other stuff going on, the depths of our bodies are really under attack. So fluoride, if you look on this periodic table of the elements, back to chemistry land, that dark purple strip on the right-hand side is what are called the halogens. And fluoride is the very top one. It's number 9 on the periodic table. And it has the greatest electromagnetivity of any element on the periodic table. And what that means is that it's missing an electron in one of its outer circles of the atom. And so it is hungry. It is like going out there searching for something to bond with to get that extra electron in circulation around the atom. So it's that's why it bonds with calcium often, but it wants to bond with something and in order to complete itself. And we can look at this as a spiritual thing as well. It helps bring things to completion. It also helps bring closure to issues. Like it can bring closure to grief. It can bring closure to issues of forgiveness that we may be hanging on to since childhood, from exes, all the way back to past lives. Um, So we're going to talk a little bit about latency and what does latency mean in terms of like healing. Let me see if that'll, um, so latency is where an energy, it can be a mental energy, a belief. It could be a physical energy, like a like Lyme disease, like the Borrelia thing that forms a spore, like these bacterial and these things that form spores and then hide out in the body. It could be an emotional latency, just like grief, where we just tuck it away somewhere because at the time that it's happening, we're just too overwhelmed to deal with it. And I feel like everybody's kind of in that place right now, anyways, just coming, we we haven't really dealt with coming out of COVID and everything that's going on. And every time we turn around, we're bombarded by one more thing. And so it's during these times when we're really overwhelmed that we'll take things and we'll just tuck them away, almost like a chipmunk storing things away in its cheek. It's often you'll tuck it away in a part of the body that already has a certain weakness to it. So this picture of this alligator, this came from my stone teacher, Sarah Thomas. I have to give her credit for this because she talks about latency in terms of Chinese medicine as it being akin to an alligator hunting. And when alligators hunt, they come up to the surface and they grab a hold of their prey, and then they literally drag it deep dive down into these dark, murky waters. And the dark, murky waters is the yin, the depth within the body. Now fluorite, and then all this stuff gets tucked away. So fluorite being a halogen and going around looking for electrons, it actually, out of all the stones are normally cooling, but out of all the stones, it's actually warming and activating. And so it has a very yang energy. So it uses this fire, warmth, and activation to pull that stuff back up out of the deep and murky waters of the yin and evaporate it, pull it out of the body and evaporate it and then release it. So in traditional Chinese medicine, they talked about things like worms and parasites and ghosts. And ghosts are pretty much anything that linger around and continue to haunt us. It doesn't have to be like a ghost in the literal sense, but it can be, our memory of something that happened years and years ago. And that's still like we can't let it go. It'll come up and we'll rethink it, or the argument we have, it will replay it and replay it and replay it. But that starts affecting us physiologically. It affects the flow of chi in our body, and it starts affecting a lot of different things. It can also be attachments. And part of being human, I mean, I've studied Buddhism for a long time, and they talk about the way out of suffering as a human being on this planet is to release our attachments to things. We can still love, and we can love almost more when we don't have an attachment and we're not grasping and trying to hold on. Um, so this can be relationships. We can be attached to negativity. We can be attached to drama. These can be energies that are kind of wandering around out there in the astral realm, and they see our light and they come and they glom onto us because they're confused between the light that we might be shining out in the world and source light. That's a big issue. I went through a period of time in my life when I was attracting so many spirits and ghosts that were lost in the astral and were looking for a way out. And I was working really heavily with a energetic practitioner, and I'd go into her office and it would get worse. Like the day before I'd go see her, I would start getting this lower backache, and I would walk in there and she's like, Josie, you have like about 100 different people and animals that have all died that are coming to me so we can help them cross over. So that doesn't happen anymore, thank goodness, because it's not a pleasant thing to have to carry around with you. But I think we've all probably experienced it where I've experienced it where I've literally just been like in a store, and somebody walks by me in the aisle, and they happen to just walk a little too close and like almost bump shoulders with me, like a weird thing. You're like, why did that person even touch me? And I'll feel it's like an energy jumps off of them and onto me. And now anymore, that hasn't happened in a very, very long time as well, but it can happen. So that's why fluorite is such a really, really good energetic hygiene stone. Like if you are out in a really crowded place, there's a lot of high emotional content going on, you can use fluorite to just help clear stuff on the moment, like so that you become like Teflon and nothing sticks to you. Let Joyce in here. Okay. Um, and this can also be like pathogens. It can be bacteria, it can be viruses, it can be vaccines, it can be like the genetic toxins that a whole bunch of people have swimming around in their body right now. It can be heavy metals. We're talking about heavy metals all the time coming from synthetic vitamins and such. It can be any of these types of things. So I'm trying to see how to get your pictures back on. Participants. It's up here. All right, so characteristics of fluorite. And you can see in these little diamonds up here, it comes in these, let me make sure I didn't skip it, no. It comes in these little tiny, well, some of them are big, but they're octahedrons. It's like a four-sided pyramid stuck one on top of the other. So they have fluorite has an affinity for the kidney meridian, which makes sense because of the jing and the kidneys and the bones, the lung meridian, the liver meridian, and the heart. Its taste is sweet and spicy. It has a warming temperature, which we already talked about. It's level, like the level of where it's formed in terms of the level of the earth, it's actually metamorphic. So it can be formed at any level, and there's lots and lots of it being formed all over the world, all the time, probably because we need it so much. It's a slightly soft stone. It only has a hardness of 4, and we talked about like quartz having a hardness of 7. So you it's harder than calcite, but when you pick up a piece of fluorite, especially like the big green chunk I showed you guys, it has almost kind of a chalky feel to it in a way. So that's one reason you have to be careful if you put it in water. It likes to be cleaned in water, but if you put it in water in your bathtub or something like that, it can start to dissolve a little bit. Would probably have to stay in there for a pretty long time, but it still may affect it. And then the shape of it, the crystal shape is cubic. It's it has a descending nature. So in the body, it connects to the upper energies, like the lung and the heart in the upper jowl. It connects those to the lower energies down to the kidneys. Um, and this came up as one of there were a couple people on Facebook that were having cases of pneumonia, and I can't, if anybody has any questions or wants to make any comments, just speak out because I can't get your pictures back up here somehow. Um, there were a couple people on Facebook that had really bad cases of pneumonia, and if if the kidneys are not able to grasp the lung chi or to help support the lungs, that can be one instance where they can't get over it. And this stone can actually help that process. It can help resource the lung and connect it into the kidney and the immune system. And another stone to use for that as well is jet. Jet is, I think we talked a little bit about it when we talked about shungite, but it's a very, very protective stone. And when we talked about amber, I brought up jet. So calcium that binds to fluorite, the calcium weighs the fluorite down. Like we said, fluorite it goes down deep in the body. It binds to these latent energies because it's searching, it wants to bind to something. It's almost like when you put in when you do chelation for heavy metals, that's what fluoride essentially does. It chelates. So it'll bind to something and then it'll evaporate it up and out. But to drop deep down into the body, the calcium helps it do that. So calcium's related obviously to the bones and the teeth and the DNA. And that's also part of that chalky feeling when you pick up a natural stone of fluoride. So there's actually I put 6 different colors on here because purple is added, but there's a color for each one of the elements. And so yellow fluorite, which is a little bit rarer, it's for the earth element to help with stomach and spleen issues, digestive issues, muscle things, those latent energies that are stuck in the muscles, which is a common place for them to go because they often follow the fascia and go down, and our muscles are wrapped in fascial layers. Um, Blue is for the water element and the kidneys for the polarity of fear and faith, which I thought was very interesting, especially for right now. It seems like people are an absolute freaking out fear, or they're turning the other direction into like absolute faith. Um, Genetic issues, constitutional issues, the bones and the teeth. There is white fluorite, and a lot of fluorite you'll see there will be bands of white in there, and that's for the metal element for grief, and then communion coming together again. And then green is associated with the wood element, liver, anger, and the release of tension from holding all that anger inside. And so this can be things that are lodged in joints, in the sinews and in the ligaments, in the hip area, anywhere that's associated with the wood. And then purple, red is we'll go there first, that's fire element. It's really, really rare to find red fluorite. I found this little picture on the bottom that had all the different colors, which I thought was unusual. So red is the fire element and the heart. So sadness, brokenheartedness, and then the polarity of that is joy. And again, a lot of these are they have the bands of the different colors in them. So, healing and latency. This picture on the right-hand side a is a piece of fluorite gifted to me by some wonderful person who is sitting here with us today. And I'll pull it out when I turn off the camera and you can see the whole picture of it. It's an amazing piece. And you can see how there's all these stripes. So we have the purple in there, we have the red, we have yellow, we have green, the white, and pretty much, and there's some blue. So I think if you really look closely, you could find all the different colors of fluorite in that one piece. So attachments, ghosts, and dark energy. So in the world of duality, we like to split things up into good and evil and black and white and be super polarized about all of that. And we're in a period of time right now where those polarities are just getting so extreme that they're almost like bouncing back onto the other. Like a side that used to be the really compassionate side is now the really like hateful side, and the side that used to be the warmongering side is now the side reaching for God. It's like it's gotten so extreme and pulled apart that I don't a lot of people don't know if they're coming or going with things. Um, but energies that linger or haunt us can be first off, they can be people or individuals, souls that are lost and they can't find their way back home. They've died and left their bodies and they can't find their way back to source or to love. Now there are when working with some of these, there are exceptions. I put this in here because there are, as much as we like to think that everything is good, I mean, everything comes from source, but there can be harmful energies out there that can glom onto you. And so you need to know that when it's too much for you to handle on your own and to call in help and to get the right help to help you clear it. I've been in those situations as well. And I actually went to one person that it came up when I was having a session with her, and she was like, I can't do this for you. I'm not equipped. And if somebody will to that gave me all the more faith in her than I would ever have, because she actually said, I know somebody who can probably help you and I'll give you his name. So there are things like that out there in the world. And even though we're like love and light and spiritual, there are dark things looking to come and feed off of the light. So just know that. And if you suspect something like that, usually if you go into your heart and just ask for help, the right people will show up to help you ultimately. Um, so fluorite actually for these lost energies that are may just be spinning around out there, fluorite actually hands gives them a hand of love and reminds them to find their center, to find their own center. And at that center, you will find love. And that's a message for everybody. So again, like I said, come back into your heart and you can literally find source through your own heart and through that love energy. And fluorite helps that take place. It lifts things up and out of places of darkness, out of that dark, murky water. It can actually loosen up really hardened attachments. So it can loosen things up that appear like they're permanent, or things that have been tied onto ancestral lineages for generation after generation. Like you're like, oh, my family's always had that, so of course I'm going to have it. Okay, now there's a belief system tied in with that as well, but it's those types of things where you just think like you're stuck with it. And genetic issues, constitutional issues. And one way to think about the way is like a glacier melting. And this can happen, this includes cancers and tumors as well. So when we have these really dark latent energies, the body will wall them off. And sometimes that's why on some, if I feel like a mass is benign on an animal, I will tell people more than likely to just let it be. If it's not growing, just let it sit there, because if you go in and you start messing around with it, you can stir it up, and if you're not clearing it, you can actually cause it to spread around. So one way to think about these things is like a glacier, like a hardened piece of ice. And within that glacier are ancient things like ancient plant forms and pieces of the trees and all kinds of energies and stuff from that water from thousands and tens of thousands of years ago. Well, as the glacier melts, all the stuff that's in there is released and can flow away. And fluorite helps that process happen. So you can literally you can use it for ancestral lineage issues, genetic issues, these things that are just hardcore in the DNA. And cancer's part of it is it's dysregulation of the DNA, right? It can also be used to, if you're enmeshed in the human collective or a family lineage. And so right now, the human collective is going through like massive throes of transformation. But if we're on a spiritual path, we don't necessarily have to be in the middle of all of it. And there's codependency, and I think a lot of people will jump on to even they jump onto a political party or belief system, just like they would be codependent with a partner or coming from a codependent family. We don't have to be in that codependent spot with anything, and we can pull ourselves out of it so that we can be on the sidelines witnessing without having to be enmeshed in it. And fluorite can help us get to that point. And a lot of that is also following a spiritual path of non attachment, which is what Buddhism is all about. Being able to sit within your heart space of love and compassion and hold love and compassion for all of it, for the whole entire thing that's playing out in front of us, good, bad, light, dark. And just sit there and watch it like it's on TV, which, it's easier to do sometimes than others. So it takes us from these dark, hardened, stuck places into the heights of like spiritual mastership. So into a process where of non-attachment and a process of becoming transparent so the light can come down and shine through us like we're a human crystal, and then shine out to the rest of the world unconditionally. So it can shine out to the dark places and to the light places. And become a master of dematerialization and evaporation. So it's a big calling for a stone. So times to use it. Anytime like you sense something's coming up to the surface from down below. An old pattern is coming up that's repeating that you thought you dealt with and you thought you'd healed or you'd resolved. And here it is, or like somebody walks into your life and they're like, why are they behaving just like such and such from 10 years ago? Why am I dealing with this again? This is a perfect time to pull out fluorite and make an elixir, carry it, wear it on you, carry it in your pocket, just have it around you. It can be for pain, old pains coming up. Pain is like blood stagnation or chi stagnation, and it's often a blockage, either an emotional blockage, a mental blockage, something in there. Could be from an old injury. So we may have actually had a physical injury someplace, but then that place is weakened by the injury, and then other things start getting lodged in there as well because the energy is not freely flowing. Any kind of like flare up of a chronic condition, like an autoimmune condition, acne, psoriasis, something that's just coming to the surface. Any old fears or traumas, dreams, um, symptoms of old traumas, like PTSD. And I think all of us have that no matter how much work we've done. I mean, and then again, something that you feel like something's not you, like you picked up something from somewhere else or someone else. Um, Another interesting place to use it is if you're entering into a new relationship, like before conception, before having a baby, before getting another animal, marriage, or making some major commitment in your life, maybe even moving or starting a new job, just to kind of do an energetic detox and release and create a nice clean slate in your physical body and emotional body so that you can start out like if you're starting a new chapter of your life, so you can start out from a really clean slate and not be carrying all your baggage with you. And this can be also like at a big life transition, at birthdays, divorces, marriages, some kind of astrological event. Like I'm going through my Saturn return right now, so it's like the perfect time to release, release, release. And in conjunction with somatic therapy. I'm going to see my somatic therapy tomorrow, but I'm got all my fluoride out. Now, one caution is if somebody is in a case of like active trauma or a crisis situation, you probably don't want to use fluoride because you don't want to be pulling up stuff from the depths to add to the current on traumatic crisis, unless that trauma is somehow related to past trauma, like me falling tonight and banging my head, I know is related to my Saturn return stuff. So I came in here and I took some fluoride right away,
But I,
but I also. Mhm.
I'm so sorry. Um,
No.
so if you have a past trauma, like from
Uh-huh.
childhood related to a dog passing away from childhood,
Mhm.
so it
Mhm.
was very traumatic. Is it
Mhm.
okay to use fluorite in a situation now where I'm worried about my own dog currently?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. Yeah. Because that past trauma is probably already coming up for you right
It
now, right?
absolutely is. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And it can very well be related with Daisy, whether she's that actual dog from the past or whether she's coming along to help you heal that situation in the past.
Right. Possibly.
Because a lot of times what we think is, it's like, I'd say this all the time myself, like, why am I going through this again? My God. And it's because there's something lingering, like we haven't allowed ourselves to move through it or to move through
Yeah.
all the emotions. Um, and there might be something else spiritually, a gift or a blessing that's waiting for us to be in a different place for us to be able to receive it as well.
Thank
I
you.
think, yeah, I think it's dying. It's a very, very sacred time, and it opens the doors to the heavens and to the spiritual realms. And so if we can be in a place where we can understand it better and have some more maturity and groundedness with it, then we can start receiving some of the gifts and blessings coming through from the other side, you know. And the stones can help us with that. You know, just like you said, you use the tourmaline and the quartz, and
Mhm.
their energies can help us ground and be in a better place to deal with it. But I'm talking somebody, you know, like if they're in a car accident or somebody's just been raped or seen somebody shot or killed or some really crazy, you know, present circumstance, then I probably wouldn't, you know, bring it up. So, of course, chronic disease is related to latent toxins. It's something that's stored away in our body. It may flare up and then go away, and then it may come back at us at a later date. So, any kind of cancers, autoimmune, where the body's own cells have been, these are not like invasions from outside. These are our body's own cells that have become dysregulated, and there's often some underlying causative factor. And I have always said, since, my goodness, since I was in veterinary school and since I had my Reiki attunements and all of this, that cancer is, there's usually an emotional mental component of something that we literally shoved away and did not want to deal with, and our body has walled it off and it sits in there and just starts putrefying. So again, this can be, it can be an emotional, mental, physical, or spiritual belief even. There's some people that, and animals, I swear, that use cancer as a doorway to step out of this lifetime. And you know, that's okay if that's what if that's the path that their soul is choosing and the path that they want to take, then I think we need to support them on that. You know, there's it's just like if a person, if they have cancer, it's sometimes they just don't want to fight it. Sometimes, and sometimes it's more than just not going for conventional treatments, but they're just like, I'm done. So, and consciously they may not do that, but on a soul level they are, and there's usually hints about that as well. Um, so it can be a substance too, or a pathogen. It can be a chemical, a heavy metal, like all the stuff that we talk about all the time. But honestly, I've had cases over the years where the dogs have led very clean lives. I've known people who've led very clean lives and still something will pop up and it's like, wow. So, it's their doorway out. Um, and this can be from this life or another life. As I said, it can extend back into past lives or ancestral lines. You could have an ancestor along the way. And that's another reason to start somewhat working ancestrally, just so that you can release that. It's like we don't have to be, how did somebody put it? We can be the person where the buck stops here, where we don't have to pass it on to the next generation, and we don't have to live out the same patterns, toxic or dysfunctional patterns that our ancestors did. And we can usually find an ancestor somewhere along the line that was healthy, that can actually help clear that line. And if you do that, you're doing like a huge service to, all of humanity, to clear that stuff out. So and mental and emotional levels can be grief, loss, trauma, PTSD. And then we talked about physical. Some of the physical chronic disease is repressed disease. So like the body is trying to heal itself. It has a certain amount of inflammation going on or itching, and then we layer steroids on there for a long time. And using long-term use of steroids is like putting the lid on the pressure cooker, and you just hold those symptoms in there, but over time that pressure builds up and sooner or later the lid's going to blow off that pressure cooker. And then, the toxins we talked about, radiation, the vaccines, the drugs, all of that stuff. And now that we're getting into, they just released, well, Apoquel went generic. They just released another form of the same, a JAK inhibitor is what they're called, I believe. So they're just screwing around with more like pinpointed targeted immune system medications that are not going to be good. One of them, yeah, I was just reading the one it's the same class of drug as Apoquel, a JAK inhibitor, but they were warning to not give it to a dog that has been vaccinated within 3 months because it might shut down the immune system to such an extent that the virus from the modified live vaccine could come out of latency and create that disease in the dog. Um, Now, I just right before I logged into here tonight, I saw a post on Facebook from a DVM, a conventional DVM, stating that they just removed that warning off the FDA just removed that warning off that drug. But was that cash changing hands? Is it really safe to give, or is it really allowing these diseases to come out of latency if the animal's been vaccinated? Which is it's a pretty scary thought. So why even use it to begin with if that's where how it's operating? That's my question. Um, and then we talked about the spiritual stuff as well. Past life, ancestral, karmic. Karmic is another big thing, you know. Um, and part of ideally like on the Buddhist path, the way they heal, when I first started it, I was like, yeah, I can clear my karma. How do you do it? How do you do it? Well, you do it by coming into that place of equanimity where you just see everything as part of source. It's a place of what the Tibetans call non-taste. It doesn't taste bad, it doesn't taste good. It just is. And I'm a long most people, including myself, are a long way from achieving that state of enlightenment or awareness. But it can be done. I have met people that live there. Um, so specifically for cancer, we can look at like the different pulling the latent toxins out of the Jing. So the RNA, the DNA, like going into that DNA, they're talking about now how COVID vaccine is actually integrating into the nuclear DNA. I would be surrounding myself with fluorite and taking it as as an elixir. I would be bathing in it, I would be carrying it, I would do whatever I could with it. It also has to do with what are called the curious organs in traditional Chinese medicine. So we have the brain, things that are crossing the blood-brain barrier. I just consulted with a dog who died from Librela with horrific frontal lobe brain injuries and seizures and increased intracranial pressure, like the whole 9 yards, because Librela crossed that blood-brain barrier. The bone marrow, things getting into the bone marrow, um, multiple myeloma, which is cancer of the bone marrow, cancer of the blood cells that are formed in the bone marrow. Our blood vessels, hemangiosarcoma is cancer of the blood vessels, bone cancer, spinal cancer, any kind of uterus or reproductive organ cancer. And the gallbladder is included in there as well. And then I just put this for deeper into acupuncture. The low connecting points and low vessels is what can is where these things can concentrate and where fluoride can actually pull things out of. Womb toxins. You can actually use fluorite to clear the womb before conception. And this is where it comes in as a Chinese herbal. They will take the fluorite and powder it into a powder and actually take it as an herb for cold womb conditions where the womb is so cold that and the woman can't get pregnant. But to clear the womb for conception, one place, uh, acupuncture point where you can place fluoride on is kidney 9, which is a womb clearing point. And that can be for dogs too, or say you have an intact female, you're worried about pyometra or something. You could do that as a potential prevention from that for that. Because pyometra is pathogens infecting the uterus. And then the purple fluorite is resonates with the Jing. So it's probably the strongest for most forms of cancer because we are dealing with that RNA DNA level. And then the other thing it can do is just evaporating old baggage and entities, which we talked about. Um, and then it can be used for death and dying. So when someone dies, they said that they're moving from the world of form into the world of formlessness, into the spiritual realms. So that's exactly what fluoride helps to do. It helps takes these hard, fixed, stagnant, stuck energies and evaporate them into the world of formlessness. So it's the expert at evaporation and helping release from the physical. So by clearing and using it as someone is dying, as like a hospice stone, you can clear some of those latent patterns and latent toxins so that it frees them up and their spirit is lighter and freer and releasing the burdens that keep us tied to the physical. So they often talk about if somebody's dying, it's really important for them to have like a reconciliation with people that they have unfinished business with. And fluorite can help do this with any kind of unfinished business, things that they've helped that's still lodged in their body that they've been unable to let go of. And it will enable them to die a much more peaceful, calm death versus fighting or grasping at life and being afraid to die because they have so much unfinished business. And one way to use this is to place fluorite at the umbilicus point. And I'll show you, you can find these little octahedrons of fluorite and just to tuck one of those right into right into the belly button. It's forbidden to needle the umbilicus, but placing fluorite here can help them prepare for death by helping release some of those attachments and kind of clearing the way. And then reincarnation, it can help when you're working with past life attachments and patterns, things that you have may have brought in from previous lives, even people that you come across that you've known from a previous life, but you have a lot of unfinished business with. And believe me, I've had a lot of that. At first, when I was younger, I was like, "Oh, this is so cool. We had a past life together." And both people, we would be remembering them. And I had boyfriends like this. And then it would usually turn into a nightmare because all of our old stuff would come up for clearing. Um, and then babies often come in, like there's some that say they come in clearing toxins from their jing via their having the childhood fevers and illnesses where that stuff they're moving through that stuff when they're really young as they come into this lifetime. And that's one of the things, it's one of the gifts of being in the physical realm is we can clear those things and work on them, where sometimes in some of the spiritual realms, we don't have the opportunity to do that. So even though it can be difficult and trying, it can be a blessing as well, and it can help us along our longer term spiritual paths. The more work we do here before we die, the easier our path is going to be going forward. So, um, mental and neurological health, there is a treatment, Sun Sin Mao, called the 13 ghost points, which I'm not going to go into here, but they can help regulate the spirit, chi, and consciousness. And using these little fluorite octahedrons on those ghost points, you can just take a little piece of painter's tape and paint them on the points, um, and tape them on there is a really good thing to do as well, to do your own treatment. Now you want to, again, if you want to be yourself in a stable place or have a support network in place if you start pulling stuff up and out, because you don't want to do it, you don't want to push the river so hard you get overwhelmed, or if you do get overwhelmed, you want to have, a therapist you can call on, or somebody, even an acupuncturist you're working with, or a somatic practitioner or chiropractor to that might be at hand to help you move through the stuff easier as it comes up. So in terms of spiritual healing, fluorite is really here to remind us that God, source, the divine, is hidden and within all things, even the negative things. When we move out of the realm of duality of good and evil and black and white, we come to the all that is. And that's where God and the divine lives. So it's only when we separate out from the divine that we get both get those polarities. So it's a very useful stone when people have lost sight of the divine in their lives, to bring them from polarity and back into unity consciousness, which, I mean, the world, there was a time, and I was actually talking to my Pilates teacher today, because we're about the same age, where she's maybe a couple years younger than me, but we're both in our late 50s. And there was a time around the 2000s, maybe late 1990s, early 2000s, where we would go out and hang out. We were talking about we would both go to gay bars. But there was so much love, and you could go out and hang out with people in these large crowds and groups and go dancing. And there was so much talk of like unity consciousness and love and people taking care of one another and looking out for one another. And right now, it's like, I don't want to leave my house again. It's like, there's no way I would go into a big crowd like that again. So it's just shifted. It's shifted so much. But this is a stone. That's why I say it's a stone to carry with you right now, to even be able to walk around and maybe exude some of that energy, to pull people out from these extreme polarities, and back into the oneness, to be able to see the divine in everything. Um, and to remember that everything's a blessing, even if there's some, dark past stuff that's coming up to the surface to deal with. That in itself is a blessing, because you may be getting it out of your system so you don't end up with cancer, you know. Um, and then all of these are my pieces of fluorite, but you can also use it can be used more for more than just people and animals. You can actually use it to do earth healing. If you want to do healing on land that you live on, in the house that you live in, people have used it to help clear junk out of deep igneous layers of the earth. Or, if you live somewhere and you know that mining's been done or stuff has been buried, the toxins and things like that. So you can also use it to help heal and clear trees, houses, anything that may have toxic energies or entities or things inhabiting them. And you could even make like a grid of fluorite around those things, or map out. And I'm gonna do a short class on this, on doing a radionic grid, where you could take like a picture of a house, or say there's a building on your property that's just yucky and you just feel a lot of negativity, and you can draw the floor plan of that out and then put the little crystals on the floor plan and make a grid. Um, So caring for fluorite and using it, I always say, allow the stone to guide you, and show it what would be good for you. That's how I've always am with stones. Like, even if I go into a stone store, I just kind of go in and look around, and it's always the first stone that catches my attention. So you can use it topically. You can take these little octahedrons and little pieces of it and tape them on the body. You can wear it on the body as jewelry. You can put it in your bathtub full of water, which I do a lot. And I've done it with these two large pieces, and it hasn't like dissolved them bad at all. So then you can do a vibrational elixir. I recommend an indirect elixir because it is fluoride. It's like fluoride that they put in water comes from fluorite. So unless, I made an elixir, it was actually Sunday night. So I took some little fragments of fluorite I had and I actually put them in water. And then I put that bowl of water on top of the sheet of fluorite and I let it sit overnight with on a small little altar with I've been working a lot with the Morrigan from Ireland. So I put a raven feather on there and one of the Morrigan's weapons. And so in the morning I filled up my little bottle from the water bowl. And then what was left of the water, even though there were actual stones in the water itself, I just drank it. Now, I wouldn't do that every day. I wouldn't drink direct fluorite water. Um, so I would use either like a quartz capture that we talked about, or put it in a test tube, or you can put the bowl of water on a piece of fluorite. Distilled water is nice to use with it. It resonates with fluorite because distilled water is made by evaporating out the water. Um, Chronic poisoning. We did people have been talking about using it for that, for like glyphosate. So you can both, we're in such a toxic world, we should probably all do this. You can wear fluorite long term and then kind of cycle through taking indirect elixirs of it intermittently, like say 1 week out of the month, along with your ion biome. So this is going to work on an energetic level, but literally, if we think on a quantum particle level, the actual molecules of fluorite, if you carry it with you, like I have this piece it's warmed up in my hand now. You're probably gonna get little atoms of fluorite in your body, and those little atoms are gonna go out and bind up to things and help pull them out. So you can think about it that way too, and on a quantum level. Cleansing, it likes running water, and this is a stone because it is pulling stuff out. I would cleanse it regularly. You can put it under running water for 10 to 20 minutes. The best would be like a nice, beautiful, clean mountain stream, but you can also use your faucet in your kitchen. Um, Recharging it, it loves to be on quartz to recharge, and it likes full moon energy. So this is definitely a stone to put out in the full moon. And what else do we have? Ah, and then there's some advanced work that I learned from Sarah Thomas, where when you're working, especially with cancer, and you're working with some of these cases that are just really, really tough, you could actually, instead of pulling, and this may seem paradoxical, instead of pulling the cancer out of the body using fluorite, you could use it intentionally to push the energy back into latency. So when would you want to do this? If you have a tumor that maybe had been just kind of sitting there and then all of a sudden started growing really fast, like so fast, everybody, the owner of the animal is freaked out, or if it's actually a person, it's like, we have to do something. So you could try doing this just to buy some time and maybe slow down the growth of the tumor or slow down its spread by intentionally asking it, pushing it back into latency, where you push the energy back into that jing level, like quieting it down. telling it to go back to sleep for a little bit, just to give you some time to figure things out or make decisions on what has to be done. Um, and why does this work? There's the calcium portion of the fluorite has a relationship with time, with the time axis. There's the space axis and there's the time space continuum. So calcium, if you think about it, it's like stored up in bones over time. It's like layered. Even with our teeth, there's like layers of calcium that get deposited over time. And so there's a time component that you can tap into. You know, if you really sit and meditate and focus in intentionally and really get to know your fluorite and ask it to reveal this part of itself to you. Because there's a lot of times when that might come in very, very handy. Even if it's, you know, even if I've had some cases lately, um, where cancer literally just came up out of nowhere, and within a week, it's like, boom, you know, there's not even a chance to even think about treating it. So this might give the people a little bit of time to come to grips with what's going on as well. So you can have that in the back of your head and think about that. And give your fluorite some love and open your heart to receive its blessings it has for you. So it's here to help us out. I'll so this I have a little I looked all over for this. This is the first piece of fluorite I ever got, and it's a little wand. And I knew I had it somewhere, and I was almost like, "Oh, man, it's one of these crystals that's decided to go on a journey, and hopefully it'll come back to me." I finally found it. I called out to it long enough, I finally found out where it was. But this is kind of really good because it's got a rounded point on it, and it's also got a sharp point on it, so you could literally yeah, see? I mean, these are just such good healing tools. You can use this on acupuncture points, or you can actually use this to just massage in where there's a really sore area where you know there's stuff lodged in there in the muscles and the fascia and the tissues, and rub it out with something like this. Um, I will let I have this big beautiful so these are like little pieces. This is a Brazilian green. It's pretty you can't it's hard to see. It's a really oh, why did I freeze? There we go. It's a really dark green from Brazil, and this is the octahedron that they come in. So, and then this is just they're also cubic, so I ended up I don't know, I picked this up from somewhere. And then these, see if I can hold them up so you can see them. These are these little tiny octahedrons, and you can take them and literally like tape them on the body or put them into like an umbilicus, you know, for an animal or person who is dying. And I can give you the list of those ghost points. I have tried that on myself to do a clearing. It's a whole list of acupuncture points, and you just tape the fluorite on each one of them. And then this is a really special piece. Oh, you can see that little let me see. That's gonna help at all. Yeah, that helps a little bit. There's a cube of fluorite. This black stone here is sphalerite, and then there's a perfect cube of fluorite growing out of this. And this came out of this special Elmwood mine. It's like one of the few places where this is even found. Um, but it's like this stone, because it's growing out of this black, is really it's really powerful to clear doing entity attachment work, you know, and clearing that. And let me show you, I'm gonna grab that sheet of fluoride I have. Mm, mm. I don't even want to pick this up and handle it right now with the way things are going. I'm afraid it'll be like what I can, but it's this whole sheet like this. And this is what I laid it flat and then I just put the bowl of water directly on it to make the elixir. And so I've been taking that since, well, since I made it, you know. So, so do you have questions?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Where is a good place for us to get stones, like online, or if we wanted to get some?
Um, Upper Clarity. Let me make sure I do this right and I'll type it in for you. I think it's just upperclarity.com. I'll type it in. That's Sarah Thomas is my stone teacher. I mean, she has some amazing stone classes too. Um, they're like shamanic transformation classes. Um, so upperclarity.com, she has a store and she goes out to the Tucson gemstone place every year. So she only buys from certain people. She's like the guy, like Becca's friend, where she just knows who she buys from and just has very, very special. And if she comes across something really special, she'll often put it up for sale or let people know on Instagram. Like I got some actual they're really tiny rose quartz crystals in crystal points, which are almost like I didn't even know it came like that. Usually you just find the big chunks of rose quartz, but that's a good place. And then sometimes I've gotten stones from so many other places, like there's one good stone place locally here that I have, but some of them have gotten so expensive and they're just like it's like anything else. It's like there's this whole like almost like raping the stones kind of thing and just charging so much for them. And some of them are, I don't think fluorite's not one of the heat treated ones you have to worry about. But fluorite in and of itself, it's not an expensive stone. It shouldn't be super expensive. And these pieces, honestly, this big green peaks, I found at TJ Maxx. Quite honestly, I have found it's like it's weird. I'll and I just found these amazing. I'll grab them. Something will tell me just go in the store, just go in the store, and I'm like, do I don't want to spend any money on rocks. But it was like if I went to a store and bought this, it would have been I wouldn't have spent, I wouldn't have bought it, you know. But I found on the way to Avma, oh my goodness. Because this is what can happen is if, on the way to Avma, because of my experience back there previously, I in the previous years with getting the shed upon and all that, I was like, okay, what energies do I need just to help me sail through this conference better? And so I stopped at a Home Goods up in Boca, which I never get up that far north, and I pulled in and I got this quartz point cluster for I think it was like, I don't know, it was like $12 or something ridiculous. And then, yeah, and it's really beautiful. It has all these little quartz points all over it. And then right next to it, I think it was on the shelf below, was this smoky quartz, black quartz sitting next to it. And the quartz points in here, they're so dark, they're like black, which I haven't seen that dark one. So if, it's like once you start tuning into them, and it's like with anything, you start tuning into them and using them as allies, they start coming in, you start drawing them in. Didn't that happen with you, Terry, with the fluorite, right?
Yeah, the fluorite. It was really weird. I went to a LBGT Pride event, and
Uh-huh.
before we went there, I went to this little. It's called the Twisted Turtle, and it's
That's cute.
yeah, and it's where you can get your stones and all kinds of stuff, and they do Reiki there,
Uh-huh.
and
Uh-huh.
that's why a friend was taking me there. And this one piece of fluorite just came. and it was like, oh, okay, I'll get you today. And then I brought it home,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, I don't know why I got you, because I already have 4 other pieces of fluorite. So it's like, okay,
And then I put it at the post. Yeah.
right. And then
I
you put
mean,
up
it
the post.
is yeah. It is a really good stone for now because everything is so damn polarized. It's like
Well, what's
polarized.
different is that this one has the blue and the yellow, and I didn't have
Mm.
any fluorite that had blue and yellow. I had green and purple and all the other stuff. And I thought, well, so
Ah,
now I have the whole rainbow that
oh,
fluorite comes
cool.
in the
There you
different
go.
stones. And I'm like, so that's why you wanted to come home now with what you've been teaching today.
Yeah. Yeah. So
If
then you get the whole entire,
if anybody wants another really good source for stuff,
yeah.
I've been buying, they're relatively local to me, but they have a website store too. They're now
What is it
second
called?
generation. It's Bays, Beys. It's just Bays Rock Shop. My spiritual teacher 30 years ago introduced me.
Oh,
I've been already dealing with them for years. I think they've been in
oh,
business since
cool.
1961. Jim traveled all over the world forever
Mm.
collecting amazing. He's so brilliant. And how his daughter is now is most actively running it. But their
Oh,
prices
that's
have
cool.
always been exceptionally reasonable. And he has beautiful, amazing stones. And they're into
Cool.
the metaphysical aspects of stones as well, not just, saying
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
good one to check out. I trust them completely. Probably
Yeah.
85% of my crystals have come from them over the years. So yeah.
Yeah, it's important. Like people who are really, they're like live it, they're guardians of the stone realm. Really.
Exactly. And
They're,
they brought
you
I've
know.
known their daughter since she was like 12. And they brought her up. She grew up in that atmosphere
Mm,
every day. And
nice.
their dogs were always, and I used to work with some of their dogs when they had issues, but the dogs were always in the shop too, among all these crystals. It's a really cool place. So yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Cool. All right. All right, cool. So do you guys have any, you have any fluorite? Do any of you have fluorite? We can meditate with fluorite for a few minutes.
I have a rainbow piece I got from Jeremy that fits. I got to go grab it. It fits in my pocket. And I've actually, since I saw you mention this, that we need it, it's been going with me places. And I have
Cool.
3 pieces of yellow fluorite. Yellow fluorite is supposed to be
Oh.
really, really beautiful for your for clearing your mind, for clearing things that you recognize, and supposed to help it with serotonin, supposed to help with it. So it kind of
Mm-hmm.
has more of
Like an
a
ethereal
an
upper
affinity to the
mind.
ethereal upper mind. Yes, that's what it is.
Yeah.
I have 3 pieces of yellow fluorite from that, but
Oh,
I
from
have
him.
a
Okay, cool.
beautiful coin size, beautiful fluorite that's been in my pocket now ever since I read your thing that we were
Yeah.
fluorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have any,
Cool.
but I'm definitely getting some. I have to say, I'm just blown
Yeah.
away at the timing. This was so perfectly timely. I couldn't believe some of the words on the slide. I mean, it's exactly what I know
Yeah.
that I needed. So it's super timely. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I think that, oh, you're welcome. I mean, it came through so strong. I wasn't planning on putting together even a talk. And I sat down and it was just like, you will tell us, fluorite.
It's for the
Yeah,
chaos, right? It's
It's
for the
yes,
chaos. I mean,
it
absolutely,
it
really
takes the
is.
Right.
I
chaos
just,
and just like,
yeah,
you know,
I wear
so
yeah,
much
and I
fluorite
gave,
bracelets
negativity
all
and
the time. I've been doing that for years.
yeah, it's a bracelet, Julie.
I have a couple. When I went to
Yeah.
the crystal show that was here the same
Yeah.
weekend as Judy's, I bought like 6 from one guy. They were all a little different. One was more green, one was more purple. So, and I
Oh,
got
of the
some,
fluorite? Oh,
yeah.
that's
So I
cool.
have like
Yeah.
different versions of the same bracelet. And then I also I got a couple other pieces. I don't know where they are actually. I should go look.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I had and that's someplace.
Let me go look while you guys are on.
Yeah, if everybody wants to just grab their fluorite, I had a knotted bead necklace of fluorite, actually, thinking about that. We just surround ourselves with fluorites. just sit back and pop the popcorn. I don't even know what else to say, you know?
I'm going to have to make a trip to Bays now. I just checked it and looked at fluorite. They've got 48 different pieces of fluorite that they're showing on the site.
Oh,
And
wow. Oh,
some,
cool.
and some of them are really spectacular. I mean, some of them are a little more pricey, some of the towers, but
Yeah.
are like $4 and $6, and and they have
Yeah, it's
yellow.
usually
I've
not
never
super
had yellow,
expensive.
and they have really cool yellow for something like
Oh, they
$5.
do.
I'm going to have to make
Wow.
a trip there next week.
I see if they have any red. I've never, no, see, I have a clear one there, but the red is super rare. Of course, it probably would be expensive. It depends upon if people know what they have or not. But I'm gonna look for this necklace. Um,
Thank you, Violet. Thank you, Violet.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Mm,
Oh, thank
okay.
you. Oh, wow.
Mm.
Thank you, Violet. Thank you.
Oh, no. Hmm,
Oh,
that's another one I'm gonna have to look for. Thought I had everything labeled, but I try to have everything labeled and then inevitably I don't. It all gets mixed up.
oh, this is
Oh,
really cool. This is a slab. It's a piece that's purple and white striped with a just a thing of yellow right on the top of it. It's
ooh.
yeah, it's really okay. Now I gotta go shopping. Oh, $8. I think I can splurge for $8.
$8. That's like
There you
really.
go.
So
There you
this is my yellow
go. Ooh.
fluorite in
Wow.
calcite. So it sits inside
Okay.
of calcite. And I have
And
several pieces from
calcite is I'm gonna have to put up a thing about calcite because calcite is super clearing as well. It'll clear the superficial layers of stuff off, like skin problems, hot spots. Um, yeah.
but this one
That this-
this one is like, and then I have my two green small pieces that I got, but then this is my, can you kind of see?
Ooh, oh, it's
So
gorgeous.
it
Yeah.
fits in
Oh,
my pocket,
wow.
and it has the blue, red, purple, and white on the
Oh,
edge,
yeah.
kind of white on the edges here. But
Wow.
this has been traveling with me now in my pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that purple energy, it's also, it's the energy of the violet ray. So I don't know how many people have heard of that before. Have you
Heard
heard
of
of
it,
the
but why
violet
have I
ray?
heard of that? Yeah. Yeah, the
Has
violet
anybody, or
ray.
violet flame? Violet flame.
Violet ray is what I've heard.
Has anybody heard of violet flame here? Have you heard of violet flame, Norma?
I think this is going way back when
It's way back, yeah.
when Sheila and I were working. I mean, probably 15, 18
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I was bringing it up. Maybe it's just like going back to antiquity, like using a drain and an abscess. I don't know.
There you go.
That's gonna be my like.
Exactly.
Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
So the violet flame, there's a whole practice with Saint Germain and the violet flame. And if you guys haven't heard of it, maybe I'll dig out my information on it, because it's one way you can literally, like, if you're dealing with a really hard issue or something coming up that you just can't, you're just like, it's like the tape's rolling, and you want to clear it, you can do a meditation and put it in the violet flame. And it's like, it actually acts like fluorite. It just evaporates it and burns it up.
So
Yeah. And
my oldest cousin used to take me when I was like 8 and 9 years old into by Malibu, which was like an artist colony, and there was a restaurant there called End of the Violet Ray.
oh, really?
Was
Oh,
the
very
name of the
cool.
restaurant. And she would take me there. She's my hippiest cousin. She was so cool. And it
When
was like
Malibu was
this.
like still a hippie
Oh, it
place.
was like in the mountains, and it
Wow.
was built over waterways, like water, like stream. When we had streams in California
Oh,
still, End of the Violet Ray is what it was called.
really?
Yeah, and it was like it was. I'd go there with her with lunch, and I just look around, and I was like, "Oh my God!" You know, it's like Barbara Streisand was there one
Oh,
time when we
wow.
were there. It's just like a little hippie, like it was back. I'm
Uh-huh.
going way back. I'm going back 60 years, 50,
Like when
not
the
even
Beach
58.
Boys were like still hanging out on the beach.
That's what it was called, though. End of the Violet
Wow.
Ray. That's maybe
Into
why
the
Dad
Violet
brought it.
Rain.
End of the Violet
Wow.
Ray. It's the name of the restaurant. Yeah.
Josie, have you ever seen
Yeah.
honey fluorite?
No.
Oh,
I got a piece here.
Ooh.
It's really amazing. It's a green, and then it's got bands of really honey colored running through it. It's
Ooh.
pretty. Oh, I like
Wow.
this. Oh, you're gonna make me
Wow.
spend money now. I like it.
uh-oh. Uh-oh.
But it's
Hey,
only
I'm gonna,
$7. I'm up to
Yeah.
15. I'm okay.
There you go. There you go. See, that's the problem. But then, 15 and 15 and 15. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. But I do think it might help save our sanity a little bit. Because even though, there's a thing, I always feel like I want to at least know what's going on so I don't get totally broadsided by some craziness happening out there. But you can't, and if you're not tied into it, there's still the collective energy, boy, has just been something else. I mean, there was, people now it's getting like there's this anger thing going on, and I see
yeah.
it in the drivers. I
Oh,
mean,
crazy, crazy
it's,
anger. And
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's come from a place of, I don't know, from a really deep, dark place where they are just so attached to that anger. And
yes,
it just seems to keep multiplying. And
yeah.
it's freaking bizarre. Yeah. I stay away from people. I just can't deal with
Yeah, it's almost like I was talking because Becky and I were talking, but I feel like it's almost going back into COVID. Like I don't want to leave my house, or I go out and do what I need to do and then go back home, you know.
it.
So,
I go to my
anyways,
backyard and chop down trees. That's
yeah.
safe.
Okay.
Using a chainsaw, using an electric chainsaw in the rain is safer than going out
Oh,
there.
Norma. Oh my God.
Well, let's start a train just a little bit, and I had to just finish. What can I tell you?
You had one more branch to cut before the
Yeah.
lightning struck you down. Okay, so let's meditate. Like, let's meditate on fluorite and see what messages fluorite may have to give us. Even if it's just like a 10-minute thing, we can sit with the stone and let it just percolate through. I'm actually gonna meditate with this Elmwood Mine one. Hmm. So we'll find our seat and have your either feet flat on the ground and feel yourself rooted into the earth, into the solid seat below you, being held up by the floor of your house, which is held up by the earth below us. Our big glorious planet we live on, of soil and roots and rocks and stones and mushroom mycelium and all of the trees and herbs. I have mugwort and nettle that reseeded itself in my potted plants. So spring is fall in Miami. So just have your hands on the fluorite and allow it to just rest in your hands and decide, just take some big deep breaths and just bring our minds to our breath, following in and out so we can get centered in our bodies on the earth in this space. And we can let all the noise outside dissipate off into the distance as we draw our attention inward to our central channels, inward to our heart center, the source of our compassion and love, first and foremost for ourselves, for choosing this time to be here, and for bringing our loving energy into this mix and anchoring that, and anchoring, being an anchor for whatever spiritual guides we have a connection with that may want to come down through us to help ease the way through this great transition we're going through, this great time of transformation. So it can be filled with more love and compassion and understanding and forgiveness. And also so that our guides can help us be safe and in a safe, stable place, even if it is surrounded by chaos. And tune into that fluorite. And you may ask it where on your body it wants to sit or you wants to be held. You may already be holding it exactly where it wants to be. You can put it on your chakras. You could put it someplace where you have some aches and pains. Just bring your attention to the energy of the stone and let it do its thing. Let it show you what message or medicine it has to give you in this moment, on this evening. Bring your attention back to your breath and back to the stone. Feel it in your hands and send it some gratitude and thanks for being an ally and a guide to come into your life during this time to help smooth our way forward, smooth the path out, so that we can move forward with grace and compassion. Know that the energy can always be with you and can be called upon. Slowly open your eyes and come back to the room. Mm,
Big one.
yeah, I had to bring us out. I was afraid I was gonna like just stay there for a long time. I could just sit there for a long time.
While you were just speaking into it, I picked up my pen because it was just coming so fast. Fluorite, freedom, letting go, unburden, oneness, reformation, integration, transformation, encapsulation. Holy crap.
So say that again. Freedom,
Letting go,
letting go,
unburden,
unburden,
oneness,
oneness,
reformation, integration,
integration. Yeah.
transformation, and encapsulation.
Interesting. That
Uh,
encapsulation is like that last part of like putting it back into latency, like
yes.
surrounding it.
Isn't, I mean,
Wow.
and that I couldn't write fast enough
Wow.
with the freaking message that was coming. It was just wild.
And you know how, oh, I'm just getting chills, how it's banded. It's like each one of those things is a different band of the colors coming through. Wow.
And then
Wow.
I was guided to put this on my throat chakra. And I mean, and again, it just kept coming and coming to speak truth, to speak compassion, to speak honesty, to speak for those who cannot speak for themselves. I mean, on and on and on. It was just this whole series, and it was ultimately to speak love.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's where I had it on my like high heart, and then I had it on my throat too. It started out like,
I
like
started
in the
out there too.
thymus.
I started
Yeah.
um, and heart, and then it went right to the throat. Because,
Same here.
oh God, are we connected or what?
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, and then I was just sitting, it was wild. I was just sitting in this dark purple violet flame. And it was like wherever I'm like, it was like wherever you can go, you can just walk around in a dark purple violet flame. And I'm like, well, isn't that gonna cause more chaos? I'm like, am I gonna get killed for walking into a space as the violet flame to burn up all this shit? It's like just yeah, it's like literally, and then I just sat in it. It was just like, ah, yeah,
I got news to you.
yeah,
I don't think they're letting any of us go anytime real soon.
yeah. It's not. We're stuck here.
They're definitely stuck here. and that was the other thing. It was to speak to speak the truth and the wisdom of spirit, because we're the ones here who are able to speak for them. So yeah, that was a big one too.
Yeah. Yeah, we're like the boots on the ground thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been hearing that
Bringing
message
it
from them
through.
for 30 years.
Yeah.
It's just, it doesn't change. I mean, that aspect of it doesn't change.
Yeah. Oh. Whew. Goodness. I did get Steffi. I think that fluorite would be good for Daisy too, you know, because she had that kidney cyst and just the kidney jing stuff going on. The mass, that kidney cyst on her this mass on her kidney and the kidney stuff for her. It
So,
would be good for that.
you could tell me maybe later if you,
Yeah.
how to exactly use that.
Yeah. Yeah. If you have a piece of it, you can just hold it on her or hold it up on her back or,
Okay.
just bring it, we can talk. I'll give you a call tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Consult or
Yeah.
something.
All right, everybody. Wow. Here we are. So thank you for joining and yeah, good luck with some fluoride. Make some elixir too.
I'm
You can
getting
just
honey fluorite to make elixir. I bet that'll be.
oh yeah, yeah, that would be really good. I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm gonna have to look for some of that. All right, you guys, thank you. And we're going to be joining, Liz is gonna give us a moxa. We're gonna be doing moxa on Friday. So that'll be good as well.
Do you know
Yeah.
what time it is?
We set it for 7 p.m. Eastern.
Okay.
Do you have moxa stuff yet?
I don't, but my friend of mine does, so I could get
Everybody
some.
that texted me, your address should be getting it Thursday or Friday.
Oh,
And
perfect.
Okay,
and then
Great, thanks.
yeah, anybody that hasn't, please
cool.
reach out to me on Facebook Messenger and I'll send you some. So everybody should be getting some Thursday or Friday for sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cool.
Much.
Yeah, that'll be nice. Moxa is always really relaxing and healing. So you could do some of that with her and Daisy too.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, sleep well,
You too. Thank
be
you.
well. Hopefully everybody can be well and stay out of veterinary clinics if at all possible. Ooh, yeah, I don't know.
Internal bleeding or compound fracture. Those are the only two things that could get me to a doctor or my animals to a vet. It's like, other than that, take care of it.
I know, right? Right. Okay. Be well. We'll see you guys Friday.
Yeah. Good night.
Good night.
Night.